This is going to run, a dozen of these is going to run about $3 to $4 a dozen, right? How does that farmer value add it even farther than that? He's got a pickup truck with a bunch of corn. Well, you get some lady that comes in and has really nice French nails and a big ring on and stuff like that. If the farmer says, look, I'll shuck it for you for an extra $1, he'll take all 12 ears, and while he's sitting there talking to the customer and go ahead and shucking it, that becomes a value add.
Farmers have pursued ways to obtain a larger share of the consumer's dollar since the 1990s, when the value of farm products declined significantly, decreasing from 46% in 1913 to just 24% in 1997. As of 2000, the percentage was at an all-time low of 20%. Value-added agriculture will increase the farmer's share of the consumer's dollar, resulting in a higher quality of farm life, more natural resource conservation, and sustaining the rural community.
We in Appalachia do not have big flat fields that we can run these huge tractors that pull, 12-mile wide disc and things on. It makes no sense to do it that way, so we've got to find a better way to utilize our resources. For instance, this crate full of apples, where I live right now in Hampshire County, is getting anywhere from $2 to $5 for this entire crate of apples filled up. Okay, it's 48 pounds of apples. They get between $2 and $5. If they're little small apples like this, they get less than $1 a bushel for them, and they go for juice. It costs almost 60 cents a bushel to have them picked by migrant workers. So by the time you do that, pay for your spray, pay for many other things, it's worthless. Let them hit the ground, and that's what most farmers do. And then what happens is a year or so later, somebody, after this happens year after year after year, someone comes to the orchardist and he says, that's the prettiest view you've got on the back end of this farm. Can I buy this 2 or 3 acres for $5,000? And the farmer's like, that's more money than I've made off of it. Yeah. And then we lose that piece of farmland. I took the apples, coated them in chocolate, put some nuts on the bottom of them, okay? And I can get $3, $4, $5, $6 out of that apple, depending on where I sell it at. I don't like putting a stick in these until they're ready to go out the door, and preferably not. I like to sell them in a container like this. I can get about $12 out of that, $12, $15 out of that container. I can crank these out all day. What I'm going to do is take this apple, cut it into 3 wedges, like this, grab myself some little sticks, jab a stick into the back of your apple, get you a side towel and take off that extra moisture. You're going to mess up your chocolate big time. Check this out. You just do this, put a little theatrics into it if you have to. When you're doing this in front of people, last week at Virginia Tech, Chef Jason Barger sat there and did this, and the college chicks just loved him. He was sitting there and he was putting the pinky out like this, and he was doing a little bit of doing. Oh, he was having a ball with it. You do that. You stick it in a pumpkin because that's a good place to put it. We work with a pumpkin patch down in Winchester, Virginia. Pumpkins was the best thing in the world to do that. If I'm working at a place that has honeydew melons or something, I'll use those. But this is not hard, and we get $3 out of these. Well, that's how much an apple? $9. You got 100 apples in that bushel? $900, right? Y'all did pay attention this morning, didn't you? Okay. One of the things we did last year through the Collaborative for 21st Century Appalachia is that we have a group of chefs and farmers that are meeting, and we have a meeting at a restaurant or some location somewhere, and the farmers come in and they tell us what they grow, and we tell them why we want it, when we want it, and how we want it. The farmers that you'll meet on today's farms are introverts. They don't like talking to people. They like driving their tractor, they like smelling diesel fuel, but they do not like talking to people, right? That's not what they do. But only like 40% or 50% of the farmers' wives are introverts. So that means we've got about 40 to 45% of the farmers' wives who are extroverts, who can actually go out and talk to people. Well, that's who showed up at this meeting. They finally started telling us about their corn. It's called Bloody Butcher. Bloody Butcher has been in their family for over 7 generations. She tells us a story about her great-great-great 8-7 generations ago, grandmother, niece, or whatever.
My great-great-great-grandmother, Betsy Gibson,
was kidnapped by the Native Americans.
And they took her to their camp, And they kept her there for 2-3 years.
She was a young girl. They gave her a pouch of corn because that's what the young women did. They went out and planted the corn and they carried it in a pouch as a symbol of fertility. Well, she escaped with the pouch of corn. That's how it got into the Meadows family. It's helped them through the Depression. It's helped them through many hard times in their lives. And Mr. Meadows really likes the idea of them continuing to grow this corn because it symbolizes more than just, you know, an agricultural crop. It's part of their family and what they do. And Tim Urbanik at Cafe Semino says, wow, that would make a great polenta. Nobody knew what the polenta was. None of the farmers in the room knew what a polenta was. We explained it to them, basically said it's just Italian grits. And they're like, oh, okay, well, that's interesting. Then Francis comes to me and says, well, you know, we don't know how. We don't have a grist mill. Don't know anybody's got a grist mill. And I said, well, I know there's a friend of mine that has a grist mill. So through networking, knowing different people, that's how we made this work. It's not what I know, it's the people that I know that make this possible.
Because if you're just a farmer, you have to concentrate on your fields. You know, you don't have all the advertising and the marketing connections, because if you're out here obviously hoeing all day in the field, you're not going to have time to go out and make all these other. And that's the main important part of having the collaborative and having them up and running for us, the farmers of West Virginia.
And sharing your resources amongst the chefs and the farmers and the community, the county extension agents, the colleges, the universities, you guys, this is how we make this happen here.
And he said, take it to Jackson's Meal. He said, they've got a wonderful setup there. And he said, I'm sure that it would intensify the flavors.
And we ended up getting this polenta mix, or this cornmeal, rough cornmeal is what it is, and we called it Bloody Butcher Polenta Mix. Meanwhile, I called Chef Hawkins. Chef Hawkins was going to have a Culinary Classic weekend at Stonewall Resort. Chef Mingle from the Greenbrier Resort was actually going to be making a Borson polenta. I asked Dale, I said, can he use this polenta mix? And he goes, well, sure, he's going to be using whatever I buy. I'm like, that's great, how much is it? And it's thought in my head, most polenta mix is going to be $1 a pound. This is a little bit unique. They've put a lot of effort into it. I said, Dale, how about $3 a pound? He's like, okay, sure, that'll work. So at $3 a pound, I turn around and we just sold 30 pounds to Chef Hawkins. The two sisters are standing in my kitchen where we're coming up with the packaging and the label and everything. They have tears streaming down their face and they're like, my God, we've been trying to do this for like 10 years.
It was a good thing just to have that type of a friendship being built there.
And once we got involved with you guys, it's only taken like less than a month and we're in business. And we made our first sale. Now remember, we've got 58 pounds to the bushel. Once we grind it, get rid of some of the other parts of this corn, we've got 50 pounds to the bushel left over. That's $150 a bushel for this corn. We made a retail pack and we made a wholesale pack. Now here's the difference. This corn sells for $3.50 a bushel. That's this corn peeled off of this cob. There's 58 pounds to a bushel of corn. And most of our farmers in the United States right now make $3.50 a bushel. At best, if the deer don't get into it, the crows don't get into it, you have no corn borer or anything like that, they will grow 150 bushels in an acre. By doing the value-added bit like this, they're now getting $3 a pound. So figure there's 150 usable pounds in a bushel to make this polenta mix, times $3 is how much? That's $150 a bushel, right? At $3 a pound. That's wholesale. That doesn't include the retail packages that we made up. This is just the wholesale end of it. So they're getting $150 a bushel times 150 bushels to the acre. So you just went from $350, $400 an acre to now you're going over $3,000 an acre. And that's what we consider value-added agriculture. This year, how many thousands of pounds are they going to sell to the Greenbrier? And it wasn't any one of us that made this happen. It was the connections that we all had and working as a group, that as a network, that actually made this happen. When a farmer sells an ear corn to the consumer, this is going to run, a dozen of these is going to run about $3 to $4 a dozen, right? How does that farmer value add it even farther than that? He's got a pickup truck with a bunch of corn. Well, you get some lady that comes in that has really nice French nails and a big ring on and stuff like that. If the farmer says, look, I'll shuck it for you for an extra $1, he'll take all 12 ears, and while he's sitting there talking to the customer and go ahead and shucking it, that becomes a value add. This is called squirrel corn, all right? There's about 58 pounds to a bushel of corn. all right? This weighs 1.5 pounds. This guy gets $1 for it. So if it was $1, let's just call it $1 a pound, roughly. What's he getting out of that bushel of corn? He's getting $58 a bushel just by putting 3 ears in a cheap plastic bag and calling it squirrel corn. Green beans. Buy a whole bag of green beans, right? What do you pay? $2, $5? Something like that. Probably about $2.50 for, I've seen a whole grocery bag of green beans at a farmer's market go for $2.50. You clean through them and get out these little smaller green beans like this. These right now are selling, this is $2.49 for this box, which is actually $3.32 a pound for these green beans. Because somebody went through, picked out the smaller ones, threw them in a box like this and set it out the door. So it's just a matter, this is the value add. It's bringing it up a notch, finding a way. People will buy stuff like this. It has crust mix already made up. Tells you how. All they have to do is add a little bit of Crisco, a little shortening to that, and some water. The cinnamon fried apples are in there. I'm committed to West Virginia and to Appalachia, so we use a Homer Laughlin China Fiesta Ware. This is about a $22 gift pack. Well, box is $1. This is $5. That's $6, right? This cost me a whole whopping maybe 50 cents, okay? And this is about $1, $1.50 worth of apples. Do the math. Adds up real quick, right? I've got several chef friends of mine who wants potatoes the size of a marble. That's what he wants. And I've talked to all my potato farmers and said, hey guys, we want potatoes big as a marble. And we don't grow them like that. Most farmers in years past would, and still to this day, I know a few commercial potato farmers, that as they're digging through their potato fields, they throw these out. They think everybody wants a potato that big. But there's a whole bunch of potatoes that big left in the field. What do you do with them? I'd go make friends with the farmer and say, hey, can I pick those up? Because for this, which is just not quite 2 pounds, about 1.5 pounds, you get $3.79 for them. And all I have to do is plant my potatoes too close together. Well, guess what? If you put these potatoes 6 inches apart and you grow them right on top of each other, which you get more per acre anyhow because you're closer, right? And when they start growing, you find a way, there's a simple, it's a natural acid, but you spray on top of it that keeps them kind of runted a little bit. Boom, you go in there and you can harvest acres and acres of these type of things. And it works well. There's a young man that I know, his name is Dylan Fuller. Dylan Fuller grows my peppers. He's actually in the 10th grade. This year he made over $2,500 from me on less than an acre growing nothing but jalapeno peppers. That's more money than his grandfather makes on acres and acres of potatoes. Because his potatoes are cheap, they're a commodity item, right? A friend of mine, John Cancelarich, who was up in Maine. John was working with the Maine Potato Board. He was actually working for Simplot, and he was making French fries. He was the research scientist on French fries. A young startup company came to the Simplot and said, hey, look, we want little potatoes like these, cut like this, and we don't want any oil put on them. We want them roasted, and then we want them frozen. Can you do that? Simplot says, no, we make French fries. Okay, this applies to big business as well as farmers, okay? John saw some vision in this, so he goes to his bosses and he says, hey, can I do this project? So he went around to some of his farmers and he talked to them, and he says, look, I want you guys to grow me little potatoes. The farmer says, oh no, we make taters like that. But Billy Clapham and John Cancelarich talked 6 farmers into growing them baby potatoes. So they got that part done. John went down to his local in Presque Isle, Maine, went down to the local Pizza Hut, and his wife Johnny cut them up like this at her house. John went down off hours at Pizza Hut and run them through the impinger oven, okay? Cooled them down, brought them back, Johnny bagged them up, and they sent them off to this company. Well, this company liked it, and they said, okay, that's great. Can you send us up 500 pounds? Sent 5 pounds, and 500 pounds, and 5,000 pounds, and then 10,000 pounds. Then he had to build a factory. So he and 3 of his buddies built a factory. 5 years later, when lean cuisine was nationwide and hitting everything, John sold his portion of the company for $42 million. And those farmers now know how to grow and will grow these type of things. Now, you know what John does? John travels all over the world helping people like me and farmers all over the United States and all over the world come up with sustainable agriculture ideas to make things work. He's one of my heroes. At our factory, we have groups of farmers come in from all over the United States. All right, we had a group from Delaware come down, and we were talking about what they grow. And one of the farmers there, he says, well, pumpkins, but I just can't seem to sell them. People don't want to buy them. He's on the way to the beach in Delaware. Well, then we started thinking about it. When do you buy pumpkins? Halloween? When do you go to the beach? Not Halloween, right? He's passing up the biggest market of the year. You know, starting in last of May all the way through the 1st of September, people are driving past his pumpkin patch. And these people have lots of money in their pocket on the way to the beach. Is he selling them any sweet corn? No. Is he selling them any jars of jams or jelly? No. Is he selling them anything? No. But they all get to look at his pretty pumpkin patch. And it's like, well, grow something besides pumpkins. He goes, that's what we do. We grow pumpkins. Well, that's not a sustainable agriculture entity. So what's he doing? He's selling these pumpkins for 10 cents a pound to a wholesaler who's putting them in those little bins like you go to Walmart and buy. So this guy's losing his tail, can't figure out why, and it's simply because he grows pumpkins. His daddy grew pumpkins, and his daddy before him grew pumpkins. That's what they do. They grow pumpkins. Doesn't sell, you're going to go broke, right? Same thing with farming. Sustainable agriculture means you find a way to work the market. Now, how do you find out about that kind of thing? You go talk to the chefs. You read industry publications. What do you need? What can I grow for you? Not like, I grow zucchinis that big and proud of it, okay? But what can I grow for you?
Value-added agriculture means getting more income from your farm in innovative ways. You can accomplish this by following one or more of these steps. Change the way a product is marketed. Marketing a traditional product in a different way, such as chocolate-covered apple slices. Changing the form of a product through processing, like the Bloody Butcher corn. Changing the way a product is packaged, like the Squirrel Corn. You can grow for specialty markets like organic baby potatoes in small clamshell packaging. Adding a new enterprise, using agritainment events such as petting zoos, corn mazes, or nature walks can increase your value by establishing a niche market. By using value-added agriculture in farm practices, one can raise the quality of farm life, create natural resource conservation, and sustain the rural community.
My hope for West Virginia is I would just like to let everyone know of the wonderful products and the wonderful farming community that we have in West Virginia. We have a lot to offer. We have good people, we have good hard-working people, and we have wonderful products.